What is up, everybody? I am NerdRage36, and I've been away for a few weeks. And the main reason being is that as of last week, August 16th, I turned 30 years old. Not in the mood right now. But yeah, and to be honest, I was actually trying to record a specific video for that occasion. Something like talking about me turning 30 and like all the stuff that I've learned throughout my 20s and stuff to do with like this hobby and life in general. But so many of my thoughts were just so scattershot, and I couldn't really come up with any cohesive way of stringing it together. I probably could have written stuff down, but I still just couldn't figure out the right way to say anything I was trying to get across. So it ultimately just felt kind of fruitless. So I decided not to really go through with that. But yeah, I turned 30 recently. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still picking up games, and I've got some stuff for my birthday. But just thought I'd keep doing what I'm doing, do a pickups video. I got some other video ideas that are a little more structured than what I was attempting to do last week. But let's just get right into it. Starting off, I got some figures. I went to Toy Base 10, that store in Oklahoma that the Game Chasers had gone to. I found out because of them. And while I was a little upset at the lack of all the more obscure stuff that they found while they were there, although I wouldn't be surprised if because of the stuff that they found in the episodes that the Game Chasers went there is why there were less obscure toys for me to check out, because more people are going there now, which, good on him. Good for business. But I did get some cool stuff. Starting off with a couple of Pokemon figures. Two of my favorite Jodomon, Heracross and Tyranitar. I remember Tyranitar, I remember I saw an ad in a newspaper of all things. I'm not even kidding. A newspaper for, I believe it was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, and Tyranitar was on the cover, and I'm like, that looks sick, and I really wanted it. I still have yet to actually have Tyranitar on any of my teams yet, but hopefully that'll change in the near future. But yeah, two of my favorite Jodomon, and it's really cool. Plus, these are not that small. These are pretty sizable toys and figures to just decorate the place with. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But also, and I'm a little disappointed that he didn't have more of these, but it's whatever, a Zoids figure, specifically the Elefander from New Century Zero. And as you can clearly see, it's missing a lot of parts, which, believe it or not, this was the most intact Zoid figure I actually came across at Toy Base 10. But the funny thing is, the reason I picked this up, even though it's missing the tail, the tusks, the ears, and the cockpit there, here's the funny thing. It's just like the one I had when I was a kid, because we did get an intact Elefander figure, but we lost those parts over time, as you do when you're a kid. So it's almost like I got my exact Elefander toy back. So it's kind of cool. It's a little upsetting that there's not that it doesn't have a lot of the same accessories and whatnot. But one cool thing that I might do if I can find an intact Elefander and maybe a couple of Liger Zero figures is do a fight scene where the two are charging at each other with the Elefander intact, and then an after picture of this one with all the pieces missing, lying outside and the Liger standing on top of it in victory. I think that'd be pretty cool. But it's still nice to just have a Zoid figure back in general. Next up, IGPX Volume 1. This is the closest to a sports anime I've ever been interested in. I watched it on Toonami back when I was in high school, and this is just a really entertaining show. I don't remember a whole ton about it, but I do remember enjoying it a lot, and this was also in really good condition. But again, much like with the weird DVD release strategy of the 2000s, there's not a whole lot on there. There's like, I don't know if you can see that, but only 4 episodes on this one disc. So it's going to take me forever and a half to find the rest of them, but it is still cool, and I'm glad I managed to get Volume 1 first, because it is always weird to get things out of order like that. Next up, Matanui's Guide to Barra Magna, the second of the Bionicle encyclopedias. I have the first one, Makuta's Guide to the Universe, and I needed this one. Weird thing about this is that, like, I got Makuta's Guide from a half-price books, and they had this also in their system, like, but only in the sense of, oh, you can order it on Amazon. It's like, so eventually I just broke down. It's like, I mean, it was technically a birthday present, but yeah, I kind of copped out and just went through ordering it online. But it is cool to finally have this, get the second half of the story and all this cool information. I love Bionicle. It was my favorite toy line growing up, and I still have most of my Bionicles. I mean, they're in pieces, and I can't put them back together. I can put them back together, but I'm going to need a little more space and probably my own place to live before I can really start doing anything with them. Actually, because I also have, like, you want to know how big of a Bionicle fan I am? I still have one of the soft launch to the entire brand. These things were given out as McDonald's toys, and I still have this one. It's just crazy. I love this franchise. It's so over the top and crazy. Like, it's what I call the anti-80s toy. You know how 80s toys like they would come up with stories and cartoons and lore to sell more toys? Well, Bionicle is the exact opposite. The toys were meant to sell the lore, and that's just amazing. And it's great to finally have the second half of the encyclopedia set. Now, moving on to actual games. All crazy stuff. This isn't a specifically gaming-related pickups series. It's just whatever I can find. Ratchet & Clank Deadlocked Strategy Guide. I didn't know they had a strategy guide for this one. Like I mentioned before, I thought I had the last strategy guide for the Ratchet & Clank series, but no, there is one more. And this was the only Ratchet & Clank game that my brother and I owned when we were younger. Although our copy, I don't know if it was damaged or something, or just didn't want to work, but it would crash whenever we tried to play Ghost Station, which is the last level of the game. So what a place to have the game crash on us. But yeah, I played through this game again. I like it, and it's cool to have the strategy guide to go with it. Now, this is going to be a bit of a story. So, I've been recently trying to play through Monster Hunter. And before you say anything, I know that this one is not the best place to start. Somebody on the subreddit actually did warn me that the biggest problem with the very first Monster Hunter game on PS2 and PSP is the respawning smaller enemies during major hunt missions. And that did kind of do me in. But I massively respected what I played. Like, I still really like this game. Part of me wants to kind of jump back into it every once in a while. But that these games are a huge time commitment from what I've experienced. I mean, I barely scratched the surface. But I'm also 23 hours into playing this damn thing. So, yeah, that's a bit crazy. But also, as I have heard, there are much better places to start when it comes to the Monster Hunter franchise. And again, I respect the crap out of this game, but either one of these might be more worth my time. And who knows, maybe I'll just gradually chip away at this and try to get past the part that did me in. Who knows? It's just something to think about. Now, why am I talking about Monster Hunter if I didn't pick anything up regarding Monster Hunter? Well, the thing about Monster Hunter is I went into it expecting it to sort of be the predecessor to the Souls series. And I did get that to some degree. It definitely felt like, slower, methodical combat with an emphasis on stamina management and high difficult boss fights. But the one thing I never expected when going into the Monster Hunter games is how much farming there is. And I don't mean like grinding material from enemies. I mean actual tending the farms, digging for minerals in rock walls, catching bugs, going fishing. And here's the weird thing. I was getting into it. It wasn't just the combat that was really doing it for me. I enjoyed what I played, but the actual monster hunting was only half the journey. And who knows, maybe it's the combination of the two that really gets the formula, its addictive quality. But I was kind of digging the farming sim aspects. And something I never expected in a million years for me to want to pick up. Harvest Moon. Alpha Omega Sin would approve. But yeah, I was honestly like, is this the appeal of farming sims? Because I was getting really into the routine and finding all sorts of crafting recipes, and I was getting into it. I was really getting into it. Again, maybe it's the combat element that makes the farming element more addictive. It's it could be the feeding into the loop that actually makes it fun. But I think I might want to check out a proper farming sim at some point. And I know the Harvest Moon / River King / Rune Factory series is much more of a game rather than a full-on simulator. So that might also help. I do remember actually seeing a Rune Factory game on the Wii at a GameStop when I was younger, and I liked the cover. I liked how it looked, and I'm like, I don't know. So I didn't pick it up, but now I'm checking out this one. Harvest Moon, Island of Happiness. I know this isn't the first Harvest Moon game on the DS. I couldn't really find that one, but I imagine playing any of these games in order isn't necessary. But yeah. Plus, I've mentioned before that I really like jungle levels in games, so I imagine the tropical island aspect would be a major selling point. But also, doesn't that character kind of look like Winry? I don't know. I started seeing the appeal of farming sims. I like tropical stuff, and also, again, it's a major franchise with many entries on the DS, so I would have needed it for the collection anyway. I guess it's just a good thing that I finally started to understand the appeal of farming sims. But again, maybe it was the combat that also made the farming element. I don't know. There's more in common with these games than I would have ever expected. It's funny. If you were to map out all of video games on a tree of evolution, Monster Hunter would be the evolutionary midpoint between Harvest Moon and the Souls series. And I just think that's amazing. But yeah, Harvest Moon, Island of Happiness, and yeah, I don't know when I'll be getting around to this. I think this is going to be one of those games that I might need an entirely separate 3DS or DS or 3DS to play on it while I'm playing something else, because life sims and farming, all games like this are one of those you play it in conjunction with something else. So who knows? I don't know when I'll be getting around to it, but I am insanely interested to see it. As weird as that sounds. Speaking of games that Alpha Omega Sin would approve of, Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. I have never super been into the Resident Evil series, but to be fair, I've never really given it a fair shot. I think I tried playing a little bit of Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, but believe it or not, I found that game my mom works as a realtor, and early on in her career as a realtor, like she would bring me and my brother along sometime to like check out houses or even help clean up stuff. And in one house, I found a loose disc of Resident Evil 4 on the Wii. I tried playing it, didn't get too awful far. Wasn't really thinking too much about it, so it didn't really. It was never much of a series that was on my radar. But I do kind of want to check it out. It's an iconic franchise, and yeah, it's something I definitely want to see. Now, obviously, an on-rail shooter is not exactly the best place to start when it comes to wanting to get into a series, but it's still a game I would have needed otherwise. Alpha's recommended it a bunch, and it's something I could play with friends. So, who knows? It's definitely something I would have needed, and definitely something that I can have a lot of fun with. Speaking of M-rated games on the Wii, just love all these transitions into the next games. Mad World, an absolutely iconic game for the platform, right alongside No More Heroes back there. And while not as impactful as No More Heroes, and it didn't dominate the freaking YouTube, YouTube countdown list. Like, does anyone remember in the late 2000s, early 2010s when countdown videos ruled the fucking world? And like some of them would always be like top 10 boss fights in games. You'd almost always have an entry from No More Heroes on there, but also sometimes people would bring up Mad World, and that would just be an interesting part of the video. And this is something I would have needed for the Wii collection. It's like, I know that this can be really hard, just like with No More Heroes, so I imagine the strategy guide might help out a little bit, or at the very least, it's like, where can I find health in this level? But yeah, it's something I definitely would have needed for the Wii collection, and it's just another good game that I want to really dive into one of these days. Too many games, not enough time. Up next, no real transition to this one, except it's also a game and strategy guide. Star Ocean, the first Star Ocean, or actually the second Star Ocean, because as I discovered, this is actually just this game. And the first one never released in the States until the PSP. And as you saw not last time, but whatever, I already have basically this game. So, and plus more of it. So what's the point in having this one? Again, I like gaming from a historical standpoint, but also I just didn't know that these were the same game until after I'd already bought it. But hey, it's an iconic franchise, and it is like the starting point. Even if I have another place to play it, I still think it's cool to have, and I'll probably check it out at least once on original hardware, just for the heck of it. Next up, Tales of Eternia. Now, from what I have looked up about this game, this is essentially the same as one of the Tales of Destiny games on PS1. But I mean, they couldn't call it Tales of Eternia on PS1 because that name was actually copyrighted by freaking He-Man. I love hearing things like that. It's just so random. But yeah, so this is a re-release, and as you all know, like if you've seen it, the PS1 game is stupidly expensive. This is basically the same thing, but at a fraction of the cost. Even though, yeah, it was only released in Japan and the PAL regions. Hooray for region-free systems! Another reason I love the PSP so much. So, it's not going to be my first Tales of game. I mean, I haven't actually dived into the series yet, but I do have other entries in the series. There is a certain game in the series that I think will be my starting point just because it seems like a good standalone, but also a good encompassing game. I don't know. I'm not sure when I'll be getting around to the Tales of series, but I definitely want to check them out because I've heard so many good things. And finally, this was a lot of stuff, but this is a huge pickup for me. Baten Kaitos and Baten Kaitos Origins. More GameCube games that I needed, and I'm so glad I was able to pick these up for as cheap a price as I did. Funny thing about this one, the first Baten Kaitos here, this is actually the second copy I've had. I picked it up only to find out that, and actually the copy I picked up originally was in good condition, and it was complete, but the original copy that I had, the insert, the cover art insert, was smoke damaged, and you couldn't really tell because the regular box art is like dark. You could sort of tell with the Namco logo, but you could really tell because by opening it up, you could smell it, and it's not like regular smoke damage stuff that smells like cigarettes. This shit smelled like fancy cigars. There was almost a fruitiness to it, but you could also tell it was tobacco. So it was just crazy that it's like, I know like people that will smoke while playing a video game, so like the games will get smoke damaged, but, and you know, maybe it's because it's a GameCube game and it's obscure RPG. It's like, no, a fan of Baten Kaitos wouldn't just be smoking cigarettes, they'd be smoking some fancy ass cigars. So it almost seems a little fitting. And it is funny because at the place I found this game, this first one at, I've gotten several games from there that have also had smoke damage. They don't smell, but they, like, the label was dark, or the manual was faded a little and stuff like that. And I even asked, like, one of the game chasers, Dodongo, like anyone who knows them, if these were games he traded in, and he told me that he never trades in games to a store. If he ever like sells games, he always sells them to fans and at a lower price than he paid for, which is really cool. But it's just weird coincidences that it wouldn't have been Dodongo. So I even asked him, it's like, really? I'm just trying to figure out who else in the Arlington, Texas area who would be into Wario, Mega Man, Castlevania, and cigarettes. And his response, I don't know, but I like his style. But yeah, definitely wouldn't have been. It's like, I don't know if he's a fancy cigar type guy, but I don't think he would have traded in a smoke damaged copy of Baten Kaitos. But yeah, just a random ass story. But yeah, more obscure Nintendo RPGs. Like, I just keep coming across these. But these are games I absolutely would have needed for the GameCube collection. I'm glad I found them, and at a really decent price, and they're complete. Like, so good. So good. And I'm actually not even too familiar with this series, but I want to check them out. I've never really discovered a game or a game series that I just flat out never clicked with or even found any entertainment value in. Like, anything, even if I've never heard of it, even if I don't immediately have an interest in, I've always at least gotten some entertainment value out of it. And honestly, I think that's one of my more, like, proudest accomplishments as a gamer. I always find something fun, even if I never expected it. But yeah, that was a lot of stuff. And like I said, I just turned 30, so a lot of this was just like over the course of the past, I think, month or so, like leading up to my 30th birthday. And yeah, it was intense. And again, I wish I had more to say about turning 30, but I do have one thing to say about it. Now, some of you would look at all the stuff that I have, like, in this room, all the stuff that I picked up, like, over the few weeks, and think, wow, this guy is 30? Pathetic. And to that, I say, I work 10 hours a day in a car parts factory. If you think I am not a fully functioning adult solely because of my choice of hobby, feel free to occupy my next shift for me.